Compact Edition. I'm Iyare. We're here once again at a place in space in London's West End to bring you 5 new comic books from the week's new releases. It's all about celebrating the love of the comic book art. Sometimes it's about new talent, sometimes it's about new series. It's always about quality work. So if you've got 5 minutes, let us show you what's new. This is Witch Doctor issue #1, and there's a lot to like in this debut issue. Great art and a really interesting protagonist in the shape of Vincent Morrow, who's kind of like a mad scientist. He's like, you can kind of think of this book as a kind of cross between Supernatural and House. That's the vibe that's going on. Reminds me a little bit in its vibe of Driver for the Dead, which we looked at a little earlier this year. It's got a real kind of vibe along those sorts of lines. But what I most liked about the premise of this book was the idea that rather than being parasites choking Mother Earth to death, humanity in this reality, in this series, is seen as the Earth's immune system fighting for the Earth against supernatural parasites that would destroy it. I love that idea because, you know, us humans got to stick together. So if you love that sort of thing, and this is a really nice supernatural feeling book with a really eccentric kind of lead character, then check this out. Witch Doctor issue #1. It's out on Image this week. So this is Batman Incorporated issue #7, in which we see Bruce Wayne, Batman's continuing quest to add to his ranks of Batman Incorporated and be placing more Bat agents in more Bat locations. And this time he visits a Indian reservation to recruit a guy who calls himself Man of Bats and his sidekick Raven. Really nice feel to this. Kind of, you know, Scalped, which is kind of set on Indian reservations. It's kind of a little bit reminiscent of that. What's cool about this is one of my favourite artists who's worked on Batman recently has been Frank Quietly. Chris Burnham, who illustrates this issue, has more than a slight touch of the Quietleys about him. A very nice kind of fine penciled style that he has. Could almost fool you that it's Quietly, but a close look and you see it's not quite the same style. He's got a little bit of his own flavour, so that's really good. A really good looking book, and just this whole idea of, we know that this big Leviathan crisis is coming in this book soon, and at the moment what we're getting is the setup, and it's all very intriguing. We like all of that sort of stuff. So if you want to get a different sort of flavour of Batman, then Batman Incorporated does that pretty well. This is issue #7 and it's out that week. What week? This week. This is the Amazing Spider-Man issue 664, and with the big Spider event, the Road to Spider Island infestation coming up, then Dan Slott takes this opportunity to tie up a few loose ends in the Spider supporting cast. So finally, Martin Lee, Mr. Negative, is taken on directly by Spider-Man. Finally, we find out who the Wraith is. We see a little bit more between Carly and Peter Parker, and Eddie Brock gets a real great appearance in this book. So lots of things tidied up and lots of anticipation being built in the advance of this new big Spider event, which I frankly cannot wait for. Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man in particular, has been awesome of the last few months since Dan Slott's taken over, and I have very high hopes for his first big event since he's been the main writer. So looking forward to that. For the meantime though, this is great stuff and kind of ties up a few things that have been going on in Spider-Man for the last few months. Issue 664 is on the shelves this week. This is Project Superman issue #1, written by a man who's quickly becoming one of our favourite writers, Scott Snyder. Think of American Vampire, think about what he's been doing with Detective Comics. This is a guy who is a writer on the way up, and what he does here is really kind of cool. We've got this whole rewritten DC universe in the wake of Flashpoint, and he takes that whole idea of Superman and starts playing with it, introducing a new, interesting, powerful character who will clearly be an adversary for Superman in the later issues of this miniseries. For the moment, we get to meet our new, I don't think he can be considered a good guy, clearly, though he started off that way. Just really lovely stuff, this, really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. This is issue 1 of Project Superman, part of the whole Flashpoint thing that's going on at DC. It's out this week. Writer Jonathan Mabry is at it again. Last year he brought us Marvel Universe versus the Punisher. This year the Marvel Universe is up against the Wolverine. It's a real interesting premise, this, i.e. Wolverine's the only guy who survived this huge earth-shattering disease that turns people into cannibalistic predators, and he has essentially to kill off everybody that he knows and loves, and is kind of torn apart by an existential angst doing it. Last year the Punisher seemed to kind of quite enjoy killing off everybody. This year the Wolverine's doing it, but with regret. I love this little mini series. It's just really great fun to kind of pit a particular character against all of his friends and kind of mess with the universe for a few issues and give us, you know, a different take on things. Mabry is really good at kind of rewriting everything that we know and love, and the art on these is always great. Highly recommended, especially seeing as it's only a 4-part series, so really easy to get into and enjoy. This is the first part of Marvel Universe versus Wolverine, and it's out this week. Thank you so much for being with us. That's it for this week. Before we go, a question. Flashpoint's happening in DC. Fear Itself is happening in Marvel, but which is better? Which are you enjoying more? Let us know in the comments below. Until next week, follow us on Twitter, on YouTube. Check out the blog with posts from the mast. And of course, our brand new Facebook page is live and direct on Facebook, and we'd love it if you become a fan. All right, all of that is very, very cool indeed. Don't forget, you can also check out our friends at A Place in Space online at their eBay store, where you can buy everything you need. Or, of course, you can just get yourself down here to the store on Shaftesbury Avenue. So that's it for another week. Back next week. Until then, peace out.